I was born and raised in Tucson, and growing up, I mainly listened to a lot of classic rock, alternative. As I got into high school, it became more like heavier metal, like rock, emo music, like whatever you want to call it, whatever they want to label it as, was kind of what I was listening to. Going to the rock a lot, going to punk shows, going to rock shows. A lot of my friends played in bands. I played in a few garage bands. Um, it was just like something fun to do, and that was the music that I just really resonated with. And there was a scene for that. Like you would see the same people at the shows, and be like, "Hey, you gonna come for the next one?" Like pretty much how it goes. And as I got into college, well, I guess as metal music progressed, the music I listened to started to really incorporate like synths and keys and this whole idea of some sort of electronic bass of stuff like Attack, who was one of my favorite bands ever. I saw them play at the Rock in this tiny room, and they had like a synth player, and like he had a drum machine, and it was just this new concept to me that I had never seen in my life. And that's when I really started to open myself up to that kind of idea. I started to really re-examine like pop music and what was on the radio, and just kind of like start to broaden my spectrum and assess like, okay, well, if the music I love and that I thought was the way is starting to incorporate all of these things, which they always have too. Like if you look back, like Rush and Styx and all of those bands, they had synth players. Like they were using those kinds of instruments. And in these classic elements that I had just always missed it. Like it never really made sense to me until I was older. And I got into college, and the whole idea of festivals, like, came to light. And someone was like, you should go to Electric Daisy Carnival. Like, that's going to be so fun. And it was like 2012 or 13. And me and a bunch of my friends went, and I started to really grasp this idea of that lifestyle. And it kind of reminded me similarly of going to these rock shows and seeing those same people there. It was like, your family, like your crew that you would be with and love this music together with. And but instead of a mosh pit, it was a dance floor. And it was just it really like grabbed onto me. And so I started kind of delving into what we would consider EDM music. Then a friend of mine showed me house music, and I knew what it was. I knew what it sounded like, but it wasn't until I ended up at Playground one night and saw Ben and Elio play that it really, like, literally and figuratively took a hold of me. And I'll never forget the experience of that night. It was insane. Like it was so crazy to me. But yeah. When I first started rolling with the Dazed and Confused crew, I was actually just promoting, helping out with decorations, with lights, because I was a theater major, so those were kind of my specialties. And as I went to a party, I was like, hey, you really need help with this. Like I can offer those. And I just remember one night, I had always liked the idea of being a DJ, but not in this sense. I liked the idea of curating moments in certain situations and like being able to know when to put on the perfect song. Like that was always my thing. I loved doing that. And even it's just hanging out with friends at a party and putting on the right song. Like that was a great feeling to me, and I loved that. And so I started to grasp that that's what they were doing. And so I had mentioned that I had wanted to learn, and was told that if I wanted to learn, all I had to do was hang out with them. And so that's what I did. And it was like a mushroom cloud of like just explosion. Like we were at the forefront of it. And the scene in Tucson took a form that I have never in my entire existence seen, that I never thought was possible. It it was just insane. And to say that you were a part of it took many forms. Like, it wasn't just, I'm a promoter and I'm helping with the party. Like, people were dazed crew that just showed up all the fucking time. Like, they were the avid goers. Like, they made the family, they made the crew. It wasn't just about us anymore. It was about everyone, which is why we called ourselves a collective, because we weren't just an entertainment company. Like, we were a group of artists, of students, of brothers and sisters, and dancers and painters, and we were just ourselves, but all in one place at one time. And we all made up the collective. It wasn't just a core group of us. Like, everyone was a part of it. And I think that's why it exploded so fast, was because if you just believed and you just wanted, if you were just open and wanted a sense of freedom, you could come to our party and be welcomed and be able to say that you were a part of something. Well, and it gave people purpose, I think.
Talk about the party.
I actually wasn't there for the very, very first party. I came in like very shortly after that. But they were illegal parties, throwing them in. We got the keys to a bakery, and the bakery was shut down. It didn't, I think it still had power in it. And even if it didn't, they ran power to it. We threw a similar party in a building called Hang Art. It was an old punk show, an old punk show venue that I had been to as a kid, like, and it was just busted and broken down, and just like, it looked like a trap house gone wrong. Like the trap house had been abandoned for years and had dust in it, and it was falling apart. They were about to demolish it, and we decided to throw a party in it. And that was one of our more fun parties. I have to say that when people talk to me about what we've done, the Hang Art party is one that they always bring up. Oh. Yeah. Still sticks in my mind. It was so fucking good the first night we threw it that the next night we threw another one in the same spot. And twice as many people came. They were both full. And it was the sickest fucking thing we've ever done. Like, hands down. And there was so many moments when everybody would just be like, can you believe that this is happening right now? Like, that we are here and doing this, and the cops are sitting outside, and they know that we're here, and they know who we are, and they know what we're doing, but they're okay with it. They just want to make sure that we're not dying.
Well, I heard that was because of Ben.
Yeah, he had a buddy and was like, hey, we're throwing a party, and they were like, all right, cool. Like, but to have even that sense of community, like, you know, to have that, to be able to know that, I never thought that Tucson would get to that point in my life. I would have never pictured that or dreamed that for this city. And it's been absolutely incredible to see this in particular bring in so many people that now we can honestly say that all of our tribes and our groups, like, we support each other. We've been to each other's shows. We know who each other's are, and we're there, like, for each other. And no matter what happens, if Dazed falls off the planet and dies and never throws another party again, at least we made that.
Tucson.
Is that a homeless person?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Genres of people that come
to
shows.
Dude, it was like people we had met, like, mostly Ben, like, had just met everybody, and we all just went out together, and we were just out, and people knew who we were, and we would tell them, hey, we're throwing this party, and anybody came, like, anybody and everybody. And it was just like, half the time too, these people would show up, and I'd be like, you have no idea what kind of music this is, but you're fucking here. And they were just there. I think one of my favorite memories of all time was at I want to say it was like Hector Romero, when Hector Romero played. And we have a friend, he doesn't live in Tucson anymore, but his name was Badio. And he is this hip hop artist, rolled with like I think the Honor Roll Gang, like Johnny Red and all of them. He was releasing music that was really good, and he was a producer, like, but in the hip hop scene. And this kid was on our speakers, like trying to get people hype as fuck, like just going crazy, like Badio of all people. And I remember Elio and I just being like, and that was the show of like, and right in front of him, there's like a photo of it on our Facebook. Like in front of them were like these candy raver kids that just happened to hear about our party and wanted to listen to the music. Like there was, you could look in our crowd and see any single kind of person, and that was what made it. I think was it became a hangout. Like it became the place where I know I'll see you there. And the events, like now they fly by for me. Like 8 hours to me doing a party is nothing, but back then, like it was an experience. I mean, like the night just went on and so many things happened and you met so many people and you talked about so many great things and you had so many amazing moments. Not to say that we don't now, but like it was just in this moment of time during the uprising of this, like those nights could have lasted forever. And there was so much about the unknowing, and like we were the first people to even do a party past 2 a.m. And that concept just blew people's minds. They were like, oh my God, you're up past 2? Are things open? And we're like, yeah, we're open. Like, and that alone was like, all right, I'm going. If they're going past 2, like I'm going. And I think that's also what created such a positive thing for us was like the police force and stuff. They knew that we were providing a space for people to go and to just dance it off and just have fun. We were keeping them off the streets. They were all in one spot. And it was run by a respectable person in town who had a great rapport with the police department. And there was no bad vibes or bad juju on anyone's end. Like it was just this they just took off. Like it was insane.
Well,
And I learned physically like how to play through Ben, and just hours of practicing at his apartment, and sometimes sparingly, like sometimes an hour here, an hour there, sometimes for a long time. And it was incredible because I knew that I sucked like really bad. There's no way you can start something like that and just become amazing at it. Like there's no way. It's practice. And I was pleased in every aspect of the way that he took control of that form of teaching, and was like, this is how you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. You're gonna touch vinyl first. You're gonna not be one of those fake DJs. Like you're gonna do this the right way. It was a combination of things. I definitely learned music theory and what I like and what the sounds that I like from Elio. I'm very influenced by the sound that he brought, and I took my own form of that as well because I'm very inspired like by the rock and indie scene that I grew up in, and so techno takes a lot of those forms, and it's so beautiful to see it transposed in such an amazing way. I'm like, this is a techno breakdown, but I feel like I'm in a metal show, like, and I love that. And so Ben, I guess, had met Romy in LA, booked him to play here. And we all just like very much connected, and I resonated a lot with the music that he played because he was brought up in the same scene that I was. Like he listened to all the same music as me growing up, and we even have like very similar like upbringings. Like our family situation is very similar, and the friends that we made, our high school like career, like it all just became like a very weird coincidence that we had like all of these things in common. And at first it just became us kind of sharing music with each other, just sending each other tracks, and then we would have instances where we could play together, and it just became fun. Like, and then we were like, maybe we should do this like for real, like maybe we should become a duo. So I had gotten the opportunity to play with a group called Secret Sessions in Sedona, and I had asked if I could have Romy on the bill with me, and they were like, hey, it's your slot, like you do whatever you want. Like, so We weren't even officially Panther Panther yet, but that's when the name came up. Was we had to put all of our tracks in a folder, and Romy named it off the top of his head Panther Panther because it sounds like a rock band. Like it sounds like a metal show that you want to go to and like see Panther Panther. Like it's just something he came up with, and it stuck, and we never deviated. And that was the name of our folder from the Sedona show, in which we like just kept that going. And that night was spectacular. It solidified almost everything that I had done. I'd played like Playground a few times, and like played a show with Ben for the Love House crew, and just that. But like this show like just really made me actually feel like I had accomplished becoming, like going into being a DJ, and more importantly, like our status as a duo was like everything couldn't have been more perfect. Like we were just in sync with each other. Like the feeling that I got when I played with him was just so surreal and pure, and knowing what that felt like totally fueled us to keep going. And so that's what we did. And I'm consistently inspired by him. He's an amazing DJ, like just phenomenal. Like blows my mind that I even get the opportunity to like say that he's my duo partner. Like it's insane. And I've learned so much from him, and I know he's learned a lot from me too. And that just this continual inspiring and never slowing down, and the wheel always turning, like that really pushed me to really want to take this seriously, and I have. So I'm really grateful for that. And so I finally think I figured it out about Tucson. Like Tucson thrives on this pop-up lifestyle, and once people start to figure that out, that things don't last forever, and that's okay, and we can capitalize on the idea of consistent reproducing and consistent rebranding and consistent, like let's give it a couple months and then give something new, like, and that's okay. Like as soon as people start figuring that out, like this place is going to be more stellar than it already is. Like it's a pop-up town because it is so transient. Like people can come and go as they please, and they can come and stabilize themselves and create much like what I'm doing right now. Like I'm even guilty of doing this right now, like literally. And just come and go, and people have so many beautiful ideas here, and who wouldn't like being inspired by this community and this amazing weather when it's not a million degrees outside, and the beauty naturally that it has. It's just something about the air here like gives people life and inspiration and artistic, whatever you want to call it. And I truly believe that once Tucson finally takes a harness on that pop-up idea, like there will be an endless amount of things to do, because it will always be changing, and there will always be room for somebody new. And that's it too. Like the young kids, these new kids like that are coming in. I say kids because like a year ago they didn't know what Dazed and Confused was. And they're starting to learn, and they're young, and we're building them in, and we're like, man, you didn't even know, like you weren't even there for that, but guess what? They get to be there for this. And there has to be room for them. There always has to be room for them, because otherwise this will not continue. And Dazed will forever continue if we embrace that. Like if we just all of us own Dazed. Like Dazed does not belong to one person. Like it's going back to that collective. Like we all are a part of it. Anybody can use the name. Like anybody is welcome to use this lifestyle that we've created, because you can do it's limitless, and it will be limitless, once we grasp that idea. It's okay to do something for a little bit and move on. Like it's totally okay.
So talk about.
And I think here too, the community is just so close, and so appreciative and loving of any sort of art form that denying somebody of that is like, why are you even here? Like, this is what we do. We come here to create. And so I think that people are really starting to want to see where people, I meet some people and I'm like, man, I wonder what it'd be like if they were a DJ. Like, what kind of music would they play? Like, I always have those thoughts, like, because it's interesting to think about, to know, like, if you were a painter, what would you paint? I wonder what you would paint. Like, if you were a photographer, what would you take photos of? I wonder. Like, if I gave you the opportunity to play to create a vibe and to choose what I'm listening to, what would you play? Like, I'm really intrigued by that. And it's physically such an easy thing to learn if you practice, but so is anything. Like, so why not? Our generation and the generations that are coming up behind us have a new mentality of acceptance, of artistic freedom, of building relationships, of networking, of experience. We're so thirsty for experience. I mean, we all are. Anybody I meet that's my age or younger, like, there's just this idea of limitless possibilities, like, and I think we figured out that we can make that happen. And this kind of music just lends itself to that. And I think more and more people are becoming open to it, and more people are starting to just really become that. I mean, the guys in Vegas, our friends in Denver, our friends in LA, like all these little parties that we just ran into each other at some random place, and then we became pals, and now we are associated with each other, and we send each other, bookings or party ideas, or, hey, I need your help, come out here and help me, like, and they will. Like, it's this camaraderie and this sense of being a part of something. And yeah, like I said, I think that this spirit that this music harvests, that dance music gives people, it's so freeing in so many different ways. And I truly believe that that's what's happening, that people are just finally embracing it. So it might not look the same, but I feel like it will always feel the same. I want to believe that it will always feel the same. And much like when we started and the people from the 90s came out of the woodwork who were here, the old ravers that were left over, and they were like, where the fuck have you been? We've been waiting for you. Same thing's gonna happen. Like, when these kids take this off and we come out of them, we're like, where have you been? We've been waiting for you. And it'll just, we won't learn anything if we don't look at what has happened. And I think if we continue to do that, then there should be no limits to possibilities. But I believe that it won't die. It never did. People like DJ Hart and the Romeo brothers, and they've fucking been here for forever doing this shit. Tamara, like, she was like, I've been DJing for like 15 years here, like techno music, like industrial techno. I'm like, where were you? Where were you playing at? She's like, well, nobody gave a crap, but I was here, like, I was doing it, and it'll never die. Like, people will always like it. It's just, it won't look the same, but it will always feel the same.
Talk about your experience at the crazy parties, like at Ray Murph's place and Craig's basement. Shit, like, talk about those parties.
What about them?
Just, like, what was your experience at those parties?
Oh man, they were wild. They were so new. It was just this new feeling of like, this has never been done before, and this huge sense of accomplishment. And even for the people that just came through the door and were patrons, they also felt it. They were like, yeah, you did that. Like, we did this. Like, we're all in it. Like, we're paying for it. So like, it was this huge just breath of adrenaline. Like it was adrenaline heavy. It fueled you to the next one. You're like, man, that was so fun. We got to do it again. It was like getting a tattoo or something. And within the parties, just so many magical moments happened. Hearing music that I listen to now and sometimes play myself. And I'm like, I remember this moment at this party, and this happened, and I'll never forget it. Looking back at the photos sometimes, I like kind of lose it a little bit because it's so crazy to think about it. But none of this would have happened if we didn't have people who were the original believers in it. But I mean, we all believed in it, but they made it happen, and so I am forever grateful for that. I think this in its entirety, this music, DJing, meeting the people that I did, seeing the things that I've seen, like single-handedly saved my life. And I don't mean like I was in any danger to like, harm myself or anything, but like I was on a path that just wasn't me, and I would have been lost for the rest of my life had I not found this. So I am eternally grateful. And I know that there are others that I'm sure are, so.